Hi guys, good evening. Okay, please just indicate if you can hear me so we can start. Sorry for the late start. Had some technical issues. All right, great. Thank you very much. So let's see. Let's just give 2 minutes max so we see if others will join. All right, is that okay by you? All right, you guys are welcome once more. It's quite been a long time. Like we lastly met on Sunday, and this is a Saturday, almost a week. Sorry, we could not hold the meeting on Wednesday for some issues. Actually, something happened and I left my charger at the office, and yeah, kind things like that. So basically, I think we should start. I'm not going to wait for people. Recently, I noticed lots of complaints, and all the complaints were, I don't understand this task or something like that. And still I don't see the questions. That is where we have a problem. I don't see questions, but you keep saying you don't understand. Like, I am not a god, right? So uh should I really be able to understand you when you've not actually explained yourself? I think you guys should really be asking questions. Maybe you ask the question on the form or you ask the question in the Slack channel. I am open to answer any, whether on the form or on the Slack channel. You guys should do well to really be asking questions. Sometimes murmuring really won't help. So actually what I have right now, I have just I think 4 questions, and all the questions are kind of like one question, right? So if I answer that one question right now, and then the other people will be like, okay, I did not, I had problems, it was not solved, but I can't see the questions, right? If you want clarifications for some stuff, do well to ask questions. All right. So I'll just dive into answering the questions that are there, and then we'll see if there's any other thing we can add. All right. Okay, so let me go to the first question. Somebody says, how do you determine the type of loop to use? All right. Basically, let's start with the first very common loop that you use. Most of the times when you are using arrays, there is a very special loop that is really very compatible with arrays. You have the for each loop that you use to loop through arrays. And then in cases where you already know maybe the number of time you want to execute something, right? You could use a for loop, right? Like, yeah, if you notice, a for loop is a counting loop, and you use it when you know the number of times you have to do something. Like you want to print something 100 times, yeah, you will use a for loop, and that will be the best in that case. All right. So when you know the number of times you want to execute something, a for loop is good. And then in other cases when you don't actually know the number of times, or yeah, you don't know when the execution should end, a while loop is better in this case because you are looping based on a particular condition, right? You can be like, okay, while there is still a file or while there is still a line in a file, do something. Okay, so while loops are used in cases where you don't know the total number of times you want to execute a particular command. For loop is, on the other hand, when you actually know the outcome. Then for each loop is mostly or adapted or used when we are talking about arrays in PHP. Now, do while loop is kind of, let's say a for loop, sorry, a while loop, but the only difference is that there is some kind of you have to execute a particular something before at least once, like you execute something at least once before checking a particular condition. So I could literally say most of the times you use the for loop, the while loop, and the for each loop. You use the do while loop in just very few cases. All right. So I think this question should be answered right now. When should you use which loop? All right. Yeah. So I think that question is answered. To the person who asked the question, do well if you don't understand, just ask your question. All right. To those who are just coming in, I was answering why, which loop you should use according to somebody's question. When do you know which type of loop to use? So you could just drag back and listen to that. So basically I was just opening this to, let me even clear all of this right now because I don't want to use it. I'm not answering any question that has to do with this. I'll go to the next question. So we just proceed. And guys, if you still have questions, do well to fill the form. Like that is the best place where I can really get those things up right now. Right? You could just ask your question on the form or just post it on the Slack channel too. That will also be good. I don't know which week is this. I'll just label it week 4 or week 5 or whatever, so that when I'm answering a question, I can easily track what I'm doing. Let me go to the next question then. All right, so the next question is like the logout link points to logout.php file which doesn't exist inside the folder. Should we create the file or just redirect to the action.php. Oh, this is something that was to be corrected. Yeah, to the person who actually was able to figure this out. Yeah, that's something. I think the last student, the last cohort actually did correct this, and we forgot to update the assignment directory. Oh yeah, there is no logout.php file, and to some extent, you should create that. Let me see if I can access that on GitHub. Uh, Basically on GitHub, let me check that. GitHub.com. Mm, yeah, could somebody just send me a link to their submission on the? No, don't send it. Let me check if I can see any of that. That's PHP. Let me just say that. Okay, so this is user off, and hopefully this should be it. All right, so basically in your PHP, there is literally no logout. Like this file doesn't exist. If yeah, this file doesn't exist, and according to the instruction says that on the logout is supposed to handle. Let's say logout of PHP file is meant to destroy the user session and redirect the user. So what you should do is that within this PHP, like within this PHP, you should also create a file called logout.php, which is going to handle the logic. Yes, this goes to everybody. Right now, I'm going to make this repository private because somebody might just come and clone my repository and resubmit to me. Okay, so change visibility, make it private, and yeah, before somebody actually accesses it. Okay, so yes, what should literally be done is that you should create a logout.php file. All right. Yes, this is a correction for everybody, and I think I will actually pass that on the Slack channel again. The task says that you should use logout.php, which does not exist. So you should see how to, yes, inside the user auth, inside PHP, you should create a file called logout.php, which is going to handle the logic. I hope that is clear. And yeah, I'm hopefully that is clear. So guys, I don't know. Let me just go to the last question. Hopefully you guys are still asking questions there because I still have one question left. All right, somebody is asking, is it possible to have an internal and external PHP file linked together, like a form with validations that returns errors messages on the same page together with what we were asked? Yeah, I think we did validations, right? We did validations, and it is possible like to link the data back to that same file. It's possible. I think I don't know wherever that validation was. Let me see. Uh, Not here. I don't know if it's not here. Then yes, you should watch the previous sessions. It actually does have form validation. Maybe when we're doing correction, we got rid of it. Oh, yeah. Turns out, yeah, this is it. I think this is it. So mm, let's see. Yeah, this is supposed to be it, but turns out uh I did a lot of stuff, remove the validation and so on. But let me just check a file that has that validation, and we reset it back and I show you what I meant, right? Um, let's see. All right. I think I actually lost that and I don't want to do it right now. So you guys should see, just rewatch the last session. There's actually possibility for validation of forms, all right? So you could actually watch that and see. You can link it. Yeah. This answer goes to the person who asked that question. Okay, so just three questions or four questions so far. When should how do you determine which type of loop to use? And I was like, okay, it depends on the kind of operation that you want to do. When you know the number of times that an operation should be done, you can use a for loop because you already know the actual time when you should stop executing. On the other hand, when you don't know, you can use the while loop because that is a loop that is unpredictable. You don't know the end, but you only know that it should run this code when a particular condition is true. And then another one is logout. Yeah, this person, the one that was asking about logout, I said, yes, the task did mention the fact that you should create a logout. Oh, you should use a logout file, and that logout file does not exist. So what you should do is you should create a logout file within the PHP folder that we have here. So inside user of, you should locate the PHP folder, and within the PHP folder, you should also create a folder called logout.php, which you are going to insert your logic inside. Yeah, I think I answered that. And then to the person who is asking if it is possible to have an internal and external PHP filing together, yes, it is possible. All right. Yeah, I think that those are the questions that we have right now. And if somebody still has a question, since you don't want to actually pose a question on the form on Slack, because I've not seen any, do well to pose a question here. Let's see if it can be answered. And somebody, I don't know, we have really done this CSV file for so long, and it really aches to actually go over it again. Like it really aches. We've done it. I mean, out of maybe 11 classes we've had, we have done CSV file in about nine of the classes. So if you still say you don't understand CSV file, then there should be a problem. You should either do more research or you should watch these live sessions. How do I know that you've watched the live session? The number of views are static. And if they are static, that means people are not watching it, right? So when I say people have not watched a live session, I mean it because I have seen the fact that um, the number of views are not increasing. And in case you even had a worry when you're watching the live session, you could as well post a question on maybe the chat section on YouTube. You should go to the LMS and post a question. You should come to Slack and post a question. That is how you are going to grow as a developer. Like you need that. You need to ask questions. You don't assume that people know where you will be weak or something like that. Okay, guys, those are the four questions that were there, and I have answered it. What else should I do? Do you still have questions? Do you want me to do something right now? So I'm literally waiting for your response. What do you think I should do? Is there something you want me to clarify again? We've had yeah, I've answered the questions that are there. There were just four questions, right? I've answered eight. Uh, yeah. Is there still something you need clarification on? All right. So while waiting, I can't even keep track of the week where we are. Let me see if I can check that right now. So let me go to the task. See, think. All right, the validation on the same page that shows an error message below the input. All right, I'm just going to do something here like very basic because yeah, I did form validation as well already uh within the other weeks. But let me just do something, right? I'm going to create a file here called index.html, and this index.html is just going to have HTML. No, this should be index.php because I'm going to write some PHP script inside. So I have that called index.php, and let me see if I have some. I can put some HTML inside. Right, so in the link bootstrap, because bootstrap. Uh, so I have bootstrap here, and let me say simple login. Sorry, I'm not going to type this out right now. I just want to generate it. Simple login form, and this one should give me a simple login form. Mm, let me see if this is going to work. Doesn't really work. Broken. Let me see. Okay, so I have password. Uh, let's see. Yeah, so I could just duplicate this right now for password and username. Okay, username. This one should be of type text, and ID should be username, and yeah, name should be username. Could as well just have a simple button here. Let me see. This is showing reset password, and that is not what I want to do. I want login, right? And I think I should be done. Okay, so I have this simple login form, right? Let's see what that one looks like for the moment. So I'll put login here. This is just normal HTML. For the front end guys, you guys should see how to optimize this. So let me try to see how far this one has done. First thing, you note that XAMPP has to be running. So I'm going to start XAMPP, um, sudo start, and I want to start XAMPP. All right. So my XAMPP has to be running, and it's showing that it's already running. So literally, let me see, few minutes, guys. All right. So, sorry, guys, I just wanted to come. So literally, now that I have this form, right? I have this form right now. What I should do right now is that I want to access it on the browser. So I'll go to localhost forward slash what's the name of our folder learning. And inside that learning, there is a PHP, and inside that PHP, there is another file called week 4, I think. And basically, hopefully that is it. Yeah, so that is it. I have something like this, which is a simple login form. And let me try to give a margin top to this thing. Okay, margin top, I set it to 5. Set this to 5, and we refresh this. Oh, somewhere else. Okay, so I think it should be this. Is it this? I don't really know which one has that. Empty 5. Let's see if it's that one. Okay, so we have this simple form, and we want to do some validation on this form, right? Like when we click on this, we want to make sure that it is validated, right? Okay, so first thing, um, there is a front end validation, which you could say, okay, for example, you want the username and you want it to be, let's say if it was email by default, right? And you want it to be required, right? To make sure that if somebody does not fill this and click on submit, it doesn't go. For example, if I come here, get rid of this, let me just refresh this. If I come here, refresh, get rid of this, and try to submit without filling this, you actually get this, please fill this field, something like that. That is front end validation. But now, what if somebody bypasses this form and sends something else? I mean, like bypass it and send data to the backend. What should be done? Another one could be, okay, this one submit, right? Now let's set the form action login.php, and we are going to create that file login.php. First thing we are going to do is we are going to validate the submit, right? Making sure that somebody has actually clicked on submit, and you use the set um, let's say post. I don't want this right now. All of this is useless. I don't want it. We are not sending any data. I'm going to not use this man right now. All right, so basically we have this, right? This is the first validation we've set. If it is set submit, then let's just print out something. Echo, uh, you have clicked on submit, right? Else, let's redirect the user back, like redirect the user back to the login page location index.php, right? Now basically let's see how this one works. Like we fill this and click on this, and you have clicked submit. All right, so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to try to access the login.php directly without clicking on the submit button. See, it brings me back to this page, right? That is one form of validation, right? The submit. We actually check whether this submit button has been pressed, and we use this name field on our form. All these names fields are really very necessary. So we check whether this name field is applicable, whether the post has this, and if it does not have, we redirect back. That's one validation. The next, right? Let us now validate the username and the password. For that reason, we are going to use sessions to do validations. That is the best to use at the moment. So I'm going to start my session here. And first thing, all right, has the submit been clicked? Yes. Then let's also check what? Let's also try to check if the username and the password exist. So I can be like, let's say username is equal to, let's access the post variable or the post array and get the username, and also check the password, right? Password is equal to post password. I'm sorry, I really have to be a little bit fast because we have very few minutes left. one out seems very small. I don't know why. So let us also do something. Now let's check if the username and the password are empty, right? So if let's say empty, I think so. Yes, is that so? Yeah, let me check that. Username. Uh, let's also define something here. Let's say validation. I'm going to set this to an empty array, right? So that we can actually use it. So if empty username, then validation at the index username is equal to, let me post username cannot be empty. Right, so we have that. Also, we could be like, okay, if also it is empty password, we will do what? We'll also say, I'll just copy this, paste. Hope I'm not missing out something. I hardly do this kind of validation, but okay, it'll be like password cannot be empty as well. Then, so if also, is it empty? I don't know. I think I'm missing out something. Let me see. Let me just say if empty validation, then we also kind of, okay, echo validation complete. This is in a case where we have validation complete. And then we could now redirect, let's see this, else redirect, sorry, let's send the user back to the login.php. Let me try to do that. Okay, so we have this right now. Let me check this. I just hope that I am on the right track. Location, what could be the location index.php? Yeah, something like that. Let me close this. Yeah, something like that. Hopefully we are right. Has somebody already discovered an error? If not, let me go ahead right now. Okay, so let me just check with this at the moment and come to index.php. And all right, let me just try to add some PHP script here. Let's say PHP if is set uh, validation. Okay, let me just check this at the moment. We'll come back to this. So let me try to check this one, whether it actually works. First thing, let me click on submit. Okay, validation complete. All right, now I'm going to try to access login.php without clicking on submit. It brings me back to this. All right, so we are going to check that validation now. First thing, I'm also going to start the session, because for you to access session variable, you also need uh, to start the session. So I'm going to start it at the top of my page, session, start. And yeah, uh, so what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to validate data. Check validation. Let's see. Okay, I just wanted this at the moment. All right, so basically I have this, and this is like, okay, if it is set and this session exists, validation at the username, right? Then we should do something. But right now, let me see if I have actually set that. All right, so we have not said that. What we need to do is, okay, we should put that validation data right inside the session, because right now we just have an array, and for us to get this array to this file, right, we need to put it inside a session. That is one of the ways, right? I don't think that's the only way. We need to put it inside a session, and that is exactly what we did here. Like if it is empty, then the validation is okay. If it is not, then we should create a session and then put this array inside. Now, since this session already exists, right, we come back here and we're able to access the session. And that is what I'm going to do that right now. Like, uh, let me just get rid of this, and I'm going to create a simple div here, like div dot, which div should be this? Okay, I'm going to use a span. I'm going to also write PHP code, right? PHP and close it here. What I want to check if that validation exists, right? Now, if we set the session of that validation, right? Because we have this, notice this, right? This key that we have here is an array key, and that key also has some other keys. So this associative array is going to be kind of an array of arrays. I don't know if you get that. So this is what we will have. Literally, I could close this PHP here and open it here again, and then write some script here, right? So I could just literally do some span, and inside this span, I'm going to set so open PHP and close it. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to copy this, or cut it even. When I cut this, I should put it in here, right? So I think I should just echo it out. Echo this username validation. And the same thing goes for the password field, like the same thing, right? So we also have the same thing. Now, I don't know if we have, okay, we should change this to password, and this should be password as well. All right, so if I come back here, refresh, and try to do this, let's say login.php. Okay, literally nothing shows up here. What is the error? Mm, validation, password, validation, username. The session started. Yes, it is started. So let me see what the problem is. I don't know. Okay, let me come back here and check. So validation is this. Let me see. I might missing out something. Let me check this out. Oh, come back here. You can submit. Validation complete. Okay. Let me remove the required field first. Click through the button directly. Index of required. I could as well just try to print out the validations errors, right? That could be another nice thing to do. Let me just var dump validation. Var dump the session, right? Let's just see the session whether it actually does have something. Refresh this guy, and okay, validation complete. Login.php. Login.php. Okay, so it actually shows that this is a null thing, meaning that this data did not pass in here, right? So if it is empty validation, else session of validation equal validation, and then redirect to this. What could the problem be? Let me see, validation. Oh, sorry, this is validations, I think. So this is going to be validations, and this is validations with an S, because that's why we defined at the top. Hopefully, let me come back here and see. So session validations, and refresh this and access it again and see login.php, and we still have a null. Section of validations. Has somebody been able to figure this out yet? Like, what can the problem be? I'm so impatient right now to even be able to figure it out. Let me check back inside the login.php. So we have our validations array, and okay, so we have password for validations. You know what? Let's just fathom this right now. And set validations. Let's see what it has to say. So login. Oh, something else. I'm just going not to use this. We have this, and the next one, let me remove this and see. Okay, so we have that these validations actually exist. The password is cannot be empty. So these validations right now, it actually does exist. So what if we try to access username, and let's see if it actually still works. Okay, so the problem will be at the level of accessing the keys, right? And this is it even displayed here, like password. Okay, remove this, click on this, and we are like password cannot be empty. Okay, so we have this validation even being displayed here. What is then the problem? Like, what is the problem? Validation of username. Uh, let's check password right now. See. Okay, we have password cannot be empty. Wow. Okay, so we have this right now, and each of them. Are we still having null? Let me get rid of this and see. Why is the time really running? Okay, I think the validation is at this level, right? So I'm just going to not use this right now. And let me see, validations, and try to refresh this. Okay, it is coming. Okay, so the problem was because basically we were not actually using the right keys, right? These are the keys that we were supposed to use. I've literally almost not changed anything here. Now, at least something is showing up. So I'm going to add a bootstrap class here, class equal alert danger, for example. I don't even know, copy. And let's also use the same class here and refresh this. And we have at least something validation password cannot be empty. So let me try now to figure out this, like validations at username, so that we don't get this thing up here. Okay, now let me unset this session, then I explain again what we have done, right? Let me unset the session right now. I think this is so that this onset is used to just clear the array, right? So that in case now that I have this, if I refresh, it should go away, like it's supposed to go. If I do this again and click on submit, I get password empty. Oh, this particular stuff that we did here. Uh, Header, set it to index.php, and yeah, let me see, semicolon. Okay, so that is it. Let me just take you through it again. So basically, we had this index, and this index initially it just took the username and the password, right, and then sent it to this backend. Now, this backend extracted the data and then tried doing some validations like, okay, this is the username. Let's check if it is empty. If it is empty, then this new array that we created here, we should set a key called username and be like, okay, username cannot be empty. Same thing with password, and say password cannot be empty. Now, if all of this passes, then it means that this array is going to be empty. So we check if the array is empty, then okay, validation is complete, right? But now if it is not empty, it means we have some errors. So we set those errors into a session and redirect to the login page. Since we use a session, this thing is going to be accessible on all the pages, right? And basically, we will be able to access it here. Now, if I click on this, we'll have validation complete. Now, if I don't fill this one, right, and I did not do front end, I did not make it required. So if I click on it, it's supposed to go, right? When I click on it, you see it refreshes and comes back, and we have this password cannot be empty, right? And then I can refresh this. Now, this is how validation is supposed to be done, right? Right? To the person who asked this, I don't know if that really helped, right? Sorry, I was really fast. Like we are supposed to end at 9, and this is already 8:57. To say that we really are supposed to be fast with stops. Okay, I think I'll also try to address the other things maybe in the future, next maybe tomorrow. But let me just try to go through the next one. Validation on the same page. Arshad, I hope I answered your question. The next is authentication of my SQL. Please, can we do that tomorrow? Yeah, I think we should do authentication of my SQL tomorrow so that I'll take time to explain the whole thing. I would like if you can do something to know if a password exists in a file, and if it does not exist, then you should replace it with a new one. Khalid, did you try watching the previous session? Basically, what you need to do, let me see, function, I don't think it is going to be here. Test form, variable, no, PHP, login, okay. I'm going to just clear a lot of this. For example, get rid of this and just show you something, right? So this is to the person who asked this question, how to check if password is there. So you look through the whole file, pick each of the line. What you should do is, okay, if you see a line where maybe a particular index, if your line had 3 columns, for example, let's say your line is something like username, email, password, right? This is going to be, sorry, this is going to be first or index 0. This is going to be, this is going to be index 2. This is going to be index, sorry, what am I doing? This is going to be index 1, and the other one is going to be index 2, just like that. Now you can look through each of them. Let's say this was some, like there were many, right? uh, if there were many, you look through each of them, pick each of the line, check this index. You should know that, okay, if index 1 is username, all right, you know that. So you check if index at 0 is equal to the particular username that is coming from the file, and the password is also coming from the file, then you've gotten it right. So you do that using indexes. Um, this should go to Khalid. Hopefully that should help Khalid. Yeah. And then Anthony, please say, how do we handle the update in the .csv file but keeps duplicating instead of updating? If you want to update, then you are not writing data. You are just, for example, in this case, right? Like if username is equal, like if line at index 1 is equal to email and line at index 2 is equal to password, then you could literally just kind of like, okay, line at index 1 is equal to maybe new data that you have, and that is going to update it instead of writing another one down. I don't know if you get this. This goes to Anthony. Yeah, this is how you update. You check for a particular existence. For example, we could literally do this, like if line at index 1 is equal to the email, then you should update that line at index 1 to a certain new email, or update line at index 2, which is the password that you have. I don't know if this helps. Yeah, you should try. You should try that. And then Joel got authentication. Yeah. For my SQL authentication, please, I will try to answer that tomorrow. Somebody is actually behind me right now telling me to end the call because we are done. All right, guys. I don't know if there's any issue. You should try to contact on Slack or keep on filling the question. All right. Thank you very much. But are we clear? Are we okay? Let me know. Just be on a haste and then cut some people off. Is that okay? Like, guys, are we cool? Like, you guys are just silent. All right, Sugar, I was just explaining update right now, right? So what you need to do is you just need to look through the file one line after the other. Then you also need to know the indexes of the various columns. Let's say this is your CSV file. Let me show you one. Let's say this is your CSV file and it has something like username, email, password. I was saying that this is going to be index 0, um, index 1, and index 2, and so on. Now, let's say this data you had something like, okay, username first, user, email, something first at gmail.com, and then you have password like 123456, and you had second user, you had second at gmail.com, and you have maybe another password, right? What you're going to do is, okay, look through each of the lines using this while loop, right? While line is equal to f get CSV, which is going to pick each of the line, right? While it is not yet equal to false, you check the first index. If line at index 0, let me get rid of this. If line at index 0 is equal to the given username that is coming from the form, say you had already gotten like the username uh, is equal to yeah, get username, right? This post array. You look through it, getting each of it. Now you are like, okay, while you are still getting the line, right? The moment where you see that index 0 is equal to the given username, and this is our file. This is like if the first index 0 was equal to first user, what you should do is, okay, now you should set, say you want to update with the password, right? You could say line at index 1 or index 2 is equal to a new password, which could also come from the fact that new pass is equal to, yeah, get this. All right. So you look through it, you check one of the indexes, whether it matches what came from the file. If it came, then you should update the other index. I don't know if this does help. Sugar, is that okay? Okay, okay, guys, I'm going to end the call here. See you guys tomorrow. We can continue on Slack. Thank you.